All right. Tonight, I'd like to start off with recognizing all of the, heroic acts that we've seen from volunteer groups this past year during all these natural disasters. One of these groups is Cajun Navy Ground Force. These are a group of individuals, just they form an amazing rescue organization that's made up of volunteers that just go out on their self-sacrifice and they go help people that are in need. That it's really amazing. They why wait? There's that saying, I'm here for the government. I'm here to help is some of the worst words you can hear. As I said, when your fellow citizens show up, there's no red tape. They're there. They're helping you. They don't have to ask the superior before they're in the stuff. They work, and that's where this group that formed the Cajun Navy was just a bunch of just regular people, grab their own boats, help. They don't have to do that. And this is so they were up in Kentucky and helping with the tornado relief, and that's from a couple. I think it was a few weeks ago, like 2 or 3 weeks ago. And so this is really, and we have the pleasure of getting to talk to Lauren A. Smith. She is the HR volunteer coordinator for Cajun Navy Ground Force. She's also a podcaster. From many things, Night Callers Productions, Weird Realities, Planet Fear podcast. She's a wife, she's a mother, she's got so many things going on. So we don't want to keep her waiting any longer. Lauren A. Smith, she's next.
Welcome to the Three Beards podcast. My name is Craig, along with Austin and Chris.
Passed to a new generation of Americans born in this century.
Let me out.
I'm afraid that is quite impossible. I need you.
Then live to send the innocent to their death? Is this justice and honor in Massachusetts colony?
All right, guys, we are back. It's like I said, I've been off work for a few days because I have been under the weather. I said, so. Yeah, I know. It's man, I'm telling you, there's at one point I stood up out of bed on Monday, and it felt like I had another person on my shoulders, and I almost tipped over. I was just like, it's one of like the old Chris Farley sketch when he in Saturday Night Live when he just go crashing through the coffee table. That was what I almost did, a couple of times. So that's just all right. But enough of this. Let's bring on Lauren A. Smith right now, a guest of the show. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing good.
You mentioned Chris Farley. I have to show you Farley Quinn. Are you ready?
Oh, yes. Awesome. That's fantastic. Did you paint that?
I had that commissioned. That's how bad I am. I had that commissioned and had it painted for me.
Oh my God. That is awesome. He was one of my, I would say, all-time favorites. I mean,
absolutely.
When you talk about the history of Saturday Night Live, you get the classic cast. Everybody likes to go this one, but I would honestly argue that the Phil Hartman, Chris Farley, David Spade, Mike Myers, that era, just with Chris, when you had all those people in there, that was one of the funniest times in Saturday Night Live.
That was to me, that was true comedy. Mm-hmm. I get so much flack for this. I'm gonna tank your ratings right now, but I'm not like a huge fan of Will Ferrell. I know, like, I'm the only person I know that's not, but like, I'm definitely like Chris Farley. That's where it was at for me. Jim Carrey back in the day. Jim Carrey. Adam Sandler back in the
Jim
day.
Carrey, Adam Sandler.
I mean, so that's where it was at for me. And Chris Farley though, like Tommy Boy is my all-time favorite movie. It always will be.
I can't tell you how many times I quote that movie.
Same, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do the one all the time. It's like, what are you doing? I'm just checking the rotary, the specs on the rotary. I'm retarded.
I always do. Whenever
that's
somebody does something, I'm like, "What'd you do?" That's my favorite.
The Shawshank Redemption. That was mine.
Welcome to, it's like, hey, in April, she has found our way onto YouTube, and she can actually see us now. Welcome to the show back again. Hey, Alan, Joey, Chassie, Michael, Ron, Michelle. Let's see if I'm missing everybody that's on right now. I think Bobby was, Go Cajun Ground Force. So that's. But
I got my team here.
I
got my team here. I have to say, Alan is from Night Callers. He is my biggest fan in Night Callers, my biggest supporter. So happy to see him here. Bobby is my coworker and my best friend from Cajun Navy Ground Force. So
awesome. That was, we can kind of start anywhere. I mean, I think probably because I started the show off this way, let's just keep that going here right now. I mean, one, thank you for your volunteering for these people. I mean, that was, I mean, I know how hard it is sometimes to take compliments, it's especially, it's just, because and that's, but it's one of those things. I mean, it truly is an amazing thing that people do when it's a self-sacrifice, when it's nobody's asking for it, and it's just you basically just do something because it's the right thing to do. And
it's very difficult. So what I call it, because I'm the volunteer coordinator, so I source volunteers from across the nation to come help out after disaster. And what I call it is kind hearts and helping hands. It's also been called just good people. It's good people doing good things. And we have people literally from across the nation, from the Pacific Northwest down to Florida and from the opposite corner back, all in between, that drove to Louisiana and came and helped during Hurricane Ida, which was my first storm with Cajun Navy Ground Force. And then we have recently there was the tornado in Kentucky in December, and we deployed a little bit after it happened, a couple days after it happened. We deployed to Kentucky and set up our safe camp. And we've had people drive from across the nation to come set up and be with us. It's the amount of time and effort that people put into volunteering just to make a difference. It will never not astound me. Like, it's just, I've always tried to do everything I do through kindness, but to find literally all these other people who do the same thing, it's amazing.
That's awesome. It's one of those, for I don't know anybody who doesn't know what happened, but for anybody that doesn't, was it 3 weeks ago?
It was before Christmas.
Yeah, so it's just this string of just this sudden storm just popped up, and it was just this long band that just basically just swept right across that whole, pretty much the Ohio Valley. I mean, it just went from Illinois, it just kept on going across, and it reeked. I mean, what was that? The candle factory and an Amazon warehouse, and then it proceeded, and then that town, and I apologize, I can't remember the name of the town, but it was destroyed.
Mayfield, Kentucky. That's where we're actually set up now still. So we're still deployed there. I'm back home in Tulsa, Oklahoma, but I'm still doing my remote efforts to source volunteers and supplies for that location. But we still have a lot of personnel on the ground that are dealing with the devastation there. I went and I actually took my son, and because he informed me when I was talking about going, because I have to go be on the ground and see my team and help out. And he said, I want to go with you. And I was just like super hesitant at first. He's 5. He doesn't need to see that kind of devastation. And he said, Mama, I want to go hug the hurt people and make them not be sad. I want to play with the kids and make them not be sad. And I'm like, okay.
That's awesome.
So I took him. Honestly, I decided to take him to bring the morale up for the team, because our team has to see really horrible things, and it is heartbreaking, and it's really easy to have some doom and gloom type feelings. And so I brought him for the team, and they loved him. They all spoiled him half to death. He was a little ray of sunshine, and it's kind of it kind of hits home that, like, when you're in that kind of situation volunteering, that the smallest little bright spots can be so crucial. So puppies, kids, just a good blessing to come your way.
Yep.
And when we left, it was like he wasn't impacted negatively by that devastation, because we did go into the damage path and see that. He wasn't impacted negatively. He actually took away from it that means more love needs to be shared with everybody, which I thought was really great.
And you brought up a good point, to, just when the way you're describing that. Who cares for the caregivers in that instance? I mean, so it's like, what, I mean, without giving, like, I'm not asking you to give all details, like, here's the name of this is the person that helps, but I mean, how do you guys decompress from something like this? Because I mean, I can only imagine seeing some grandma who's just lost her entire world. Just all she's got is just, whatever little piece she's managed to pull out of the rubble, standing there crying. And it's like, how do you go home and find a way to shut that off so that you don't just relive that in perpetuity forever?
It's really hard. So I can tell you that my first go on the ground was after Hurricane Ida. And I didn't even get to leave camp because I was dealing with so many personnel issues, and like getting the camp running smoothly, getting everybody to, all the volunteers doing what they needed to do. And just the amount of, I'd say, trauma that I endured just seeing the people coming through camp and hearing about what they lost. I got on the plane and I cried my heart out. And I've talked to several volunteers who have done the same thing. And it is so incredibly, it's hard to be on the ground and see what you see. It's hard to be on the ground and be away from your family, but to have to leave and know that there's still so much to be done and you can't stay and do it. And even if you did stay, there's only so much you can do. It is incredibly hard to mentally process and emotionally process. And so what I've done is come up with kind of an aftercare bit that I give to the volunteers, in which I tell them, you have to leave, right? Because you can't stay forever. But how you can still help remotely is by supporting us on social media, sharing our post. So I tell people, if you can't volunteer, donate. If you can't donate, then share our post. It's free. And when you share that post, it gets the word out about what we're doing and how we're helping to so many others who can help. And so I said, just sharing our post remotely, it seems like you're not doing anything, but you're getting the word out that the media has already turned away from this storm. They don't care anymore. So it's really hard to get resources in. But if you're sharing those posts, you're doing what the media is not doing anymore. And you're bringing attention to the fact that these people are starting the hardest battle of their lives. Also, we do let people help remotely. So we have our social media teams, our dispatch teams, our volunteer vetting teams. We have a lot of different teams that help remotely from across the nation. Again, I'm talking hundreds of people that help keep us going while our people on the ground go into the debris and hand out supplies, which is what we're doing in Kentucky right now. We have teams that go out with skid steers and chainsaws, and they help to get debris off of people's houses, tarp their roofs, set them up with contractors to get their homes rebuilt. And then we also have teams in town at Safe Camp at Walmart that are handing out different supplies. So they're handing out heaters, blankets, toiletry kits, stuff like that, water. So if you share us on social media, it helps us help them.
And one of the best, what's the best site on social media to do that? Is it through Facebook? Is that going to be the best, or is it Instagram? I mean, which one?
We're on Instagram, but our Facebook is really where it's at. So if you go to Cajun Navy Ground Force on Facebook, that's going to be your best bet. We do lives throughout the day showcasing what we're doing, so you know how we're helping, where your money's going when you're donating, how your volunteers, how you can volunteer. We have lives throughout the day. We have posts that ask for help or showcase. We helped this person. Like we have one lady, her name was Miss Linda. Search and rescue came through after the tornado and they cleared her house because she didn't hear them knocking. Our team came through and said, hey, that's my son right there on the cover page. That was his first time seeing the devastation. It was really hard for me. And then he kept pointing out people's clothes and toys. And he said, Mama, it's all gone. And I showed him, I said, there used to be a house right here. And he said, Mama, but where did their Christmas trees go? Like it was, he was okay, but like it was difficult for me because I could just imagine I live in Oklahoma. I live in Tornado Alley. I've spent many a night in that closet with my kids. And so it hit home that this could happen to me at pretty much any time throughout, Oklahoma. But I don't even remember where I was at.
You were talking about a lady that she was out.
Yes, Miss Linda.
Yep.
So our team came through to ask her if we could remove some debris from her yard, and she heard us, and she was almost gone. And we got her out of there, took her to the hospital, and she had surgery, and she was post-op. So we got her set up with some people that from Arkansas, these kind people that showed up, and they housed her and gave her food. And then our ground team lead, Chad, actually took her back to Lafayette, Louisiana with him for Christmas, got her presents, got her clothing, and then took her back to Kentucky after Christmas.
Wow.
I actually have pictures and videos on that page of my son playing with Miss Linda, and she just loved him to pieces. She played cars with him for hours. He was a bright spot. And so it's stories like that. Like we don't just hand out blankets and go remove trees. Like we make personal connections with these people. There are people that we still check on from Hurricane Ida that we still keep in touch with to make sure that they're okay. Basically, our goal is to bring light to the darkness after disaster, but to also give people control of their lives back.
And that's the part, that's why I highlighted that in the opening of why so many people, their first instinct is, well, that's why we need government to do this for us. No, the government is literally, they're going to show up. They're going to throw a pallet of water at you. They're going to have a bunch of people that come out of DC. They're in these fancy shirts that they've never worn up until that day. They've thrown them on.
Just for a photo op.
Yeah, and they go in there. Yeah, they make everything look like, okay, we're here. And then now the government's gone.
So, and that's one thing about our organization is that we are not restricted by the red tape. So we can go in day one, and we actually have had our hands smacked a couple times by different factions, and they're like, only FEMA can distribute that. And we're like, well,
rights?
We're Cajun Navy Ground Force, and we're going to do what we're going to do because we're here to help people. And we talk to the local law enforcement. We talk to the EOC. We talk to the mayor. We talk to the people we need to talk to. And we end up making a huge impact where we are. And FEMA, we don't have the same restrictions that the government agencies have. So we can go day one of Hurricane Ida, literally it was still raging in this town, and we deployed and set up our camp, and we're like, okay, we're here, we're handing out water until we get something else. And then we ended up running for over a month, handing out supplies, ice, water, toiletries, generators, clearing debris. Like we start with a couple RVs in a parking lot, and then expand into this huge safe camp and a distribution hub that brings in supplies. We had Walmart, Sam's Club, just tons of people giving us semi-truckloads of supplies to hand out because they believed in what we were doing. It was amazing.
That's where I've said to many people where it's just like, well, if we didn't have these government programs, what would we do? Cajun Navy, is probably one of the best examples of what happens when American citizens jump in. You got the Salvation Army. You have, when they first, we'll go when they first, formed. We'll do that. We'll do that little caveat. But it's just, just when these organizations come in, these are the ones. That's what they do. They do the stopgaps. They make the soup kitchens. They do these things because it's not because I'm, and that's one of the things like I really wanted to stress, and I hope I made that. There's, nobody in this thing is looking for accolades. Nobody's out there looking for this is about me. This is one of those. And that's why some of my questions like really about there is who takes care of you guys? Because you guys suffer this trauma as well. And then you just have to, you're patching them up. But like I said, honestly, like who helps you when you get home? I mean, honestly, where do you guys go for help?
So that's something that I'm working on implementing. I actually talked to Bobby there about that recently. I said, we have so many volunteers that they face PTSD after they leave. And I give them ways to cope and ways to help remotely, but some of them, it's not as bad as search and rescue. I will say we do a little bit of search and rescue. We do a lot of what we do initially after a storm is clearing debris so that first responders can get to homes to do wellness checks and search and rescue. Most of the people that we have on that crew are search and rescue people. They are retired firefighters, retired EMTs, retired military, so they're pretty well equipped to deal with it. But for the regular volunteers that are going into a situation where they see not people who are deceased or anything, but just the devastation, it can still be so heartbreaking and so traumatizing. I actually had talked to Bobby. That's something so I have a psychology background and that's my major and my passion. And I had talked to her and I said, what if I started up something to help people like that? Like, what if I started a program to help people? So that's kind of where that comes in. As far as I know, we don't really have anything dedicated to that. We did partner with AmeriCares for a little bit, but they're more geared towards helping the survivors of the disaster with their trauma. They're not really for the volunteers, although they did invite the volunteers. They said, if you guys need to come see us and see one of our therapists, you can, but it wasn't really for the volunteers. That's not really a thing. And I'll tell you something else that people face, especially like me. When you're down there doing that, you are away from your family. You're away from your comfort zone. And that is also really hard. So for me, the only reason that I would even leave the ground is to come and be with my family, because I have 2 little boys that need their mama. And then when I get home from being on the ground, the first thing I do when I walk in the door from the airport, and I have 1 hour of sleep, for 3 days, I'm dirty, I haven't eaten really. And the first thing I do is go kiss my kids and thank God that they are in a warm, safe, dry bed. And dealing with that guilt almost, you know what I mean? That I have a roof over my head and running water and I don't have to battle mosquitoes or snow. There is kind of a guilt that you also have to deal with on top of the trauma that you saw down there.
I can see that. Yeah. I mean, it really could. I mean, that was one of the ones I was hoping, we'd be able to have that part of the talk, because that's one of the things that you don't hear a lot, when people ask, you get a lot of the stuff. It's like, oh my God, amazing things. And then all right. And next we have, they don't ever get to the fact of the human side of these rescuers. I mean, it's like, yeah, you guys are doing amazing things, but there's gotta be, how do we help them heal? I mean, it's now GoCajunNavy.org. Is that the best place for people to go and donate?
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay. So I want to make sure I put.
We're kind of in the middle of a. Thank you, Bobby. Could you verify that for me if you're still there? We're in the middle of a transition, kind of consolidating a couple of our different things and making that our go-to. So, but yeah, so we have donations, but we also have, if you can't, like I said, if you can't donate money, if you could donate your time as a volunteer. If you can't do either of those, share our post. But we also have supply runs. So we take donations of supplies. We have an Amazon wish list that people can literally go to Amazon and be like, I want 2 gift cards and a heater, and then have it shipped to our location to give out. I mean,
Nice.
it's pretty easy. It's just, it takes, the only way that we can make this happen is through kind hearts and helping hands. We are a citizen-led disaster relief organization, and how we do what we do is through crowdsourcing through social media. A lot of social media, it gets a bad rap, but we couldn't help the people we help without it. It's a useful tool. Exactly. and we have to use it. But I can say it's very fulfilling going down there. It's hard, and there's a lot of emotional fallout when I leave. I do go into kind of a depression for a few days, and I sleep a lot. But I can say that it fills my cup every time I go to the ground, and it keeps me passionate in what I do to work remotely nonstop to help our team stay on the ground and be able to do what we do.
So have you ever had a thing where there's multiple disasters and you have to pick which one you really want to position yourself in? How does that work?
So our goal with Safe Camp. So what Safe Camp is Swift Action Force Emergency Camp. And what that is we are wanting to be pre-set up in a big box store like Walmart. And then when a disaster hits, so across the nation, let's say, where do you live, Chris?
Orlando, Central Florida area.
All right. So let's say a hurricane hits Orlando, right? What we want to do is have our stuff already set up in Walmart. And when that disaster hits, Walmart employees roll Safe Camp out into the parking lot. They set up, they start handing out supplies until Safe Camp employees get there. And then that way the Walmart employees they still have income, even though there's no power and everything else, we'll pay them. And then they can do their jobs. So that's what Safe Camp is. What that means in the future is that we can deploy to multiple emergencies at the same time. For right now, I can tell you, we were still putting on a Christmas event in Houma, Louisiana for the kids that were affected by Ida, and we're not going to have a Christmas. Their parents are rebuilding their homes and trying to get caught up on their bills. And so we put on a Christmas event, a toy drive, basically. It was an angel tree.
Nice.
And so we were trying to get presents for these kids affected by Ida. At the week before our event, the Kentucky tornado hits. So our entire team deploys to Kentucky, and there's a few of us left to run this event. We did that, got the event done, went to Kentucky. We're still there working. Colorado fires hit, right? So a few more of our team are now in Colorado assessing. Now, we are setting up a smaller Safe Camp in Colorado. The thing is, Cajun Navy, we're used to hurricanes. So when we deployed to Kentucky for the tornadoes, it was a little bit of a learning curve because hurricanes, the devastation is everywhere, right? Tornadoes, it is this one path, and these people are screwed, but these people over here, their patio furniture didn't even move. Like it was a lot for us to get our minds around. And then Colorado, again, it's this one little section versus this widespread devastation that we're used to with hurricanes. So each one is a learning curve, and that's kind of where we're trying to expand our Safe Camp concept, and we're learning about each new disaster. But our goal is to be able to go to multiple disasters at the same time. So we have Sharknado in California, we can totally do that and handle the hurricanes in Louisiana. So that's our goal. With the right funding and donations, we can make that happen.
That's awesome. Yeah, and then just let us know. I mean, we can add that link to the description. If you know which one's like the best way to donate.
Absolutely.
We'll definitely put that on there.
Okay. Yeah, I can get that on there. Hold on. I got this ready. It's on my laptop because I can never remember. So go CajunNavy.org/donate would be the best way to donate to Cajun Navy. If you would like to volunteer, you can actually email me straight at lauren@gocajunnavy.org, and I will get you through the vetting process and get you on the ground where you can lend a hand.
All right. So that's at Lauren,
Or just lauren@gocajunnavy.org.
KGDV.org. All right. Perfect. I'll like to get that so that way I can put that in there for. Awesome. Well, then, like I said, we're 3 minutes in. Like I said, we've only talked about your Cajun Navy.
I know.
We've got to get to. I mean, she's got a whole lifetime. I mean, I barely got to really mention to the guys. I mean, she's well-known Bigfoot,
I am.
person too. That's why it's in it. That was one of those where I talked you through Hadley Thorne, through Weird Reality. She's the one that mentioned. She said, reach out to her, and I'm like, well, absolutely. And so I was glad. So
I was actually supposed to be on this show last week. I'm sure, like you guys know, but I was supposed to be on this show last week, but I was in Kentucky dealing with the devastation from the tornado, and I was still going to make it happen. I was like, yeah, I can make it happen. And then I had like 1 hour of sleep, and Craig was so understanding. He was like, let's reschedule. I was like, thank you so much. Like, I don't even know my own name. But yeah, there's definitely a lot. So that's our page. Thank you for putting that up there. So we're actually getting into virtual reality. So this is something new that we're doing before we switch to Bigfoot, that I'm really excited about. So we do a lot of live videos on our page. We do a lot of pictures and posts, right? And we like to, we want you to see the devastation that we're seeing. We want you to meet the people that we're meeting and making connections with. But we're doing virtual reality now. So if you have an Oculus, you can watch our virtual reality videos on YouTube. And we give you a 360 view, real-time view of the devastation. And let me tell you, like, I have goosebumps. It hits so differently. I've been there, and I watched the video and I still cried. So I put the goggles on my mom, and I was like, Mom, I said, just watch this video. And she said, I'm going to ruin these goggles. And I was like, why? And she said, I have tears filling up in the bottom part, because it is just, you're standing there looking around, and you see a little teddy bear on the ground. You see, a little bike over here. You see grandma's china broken over here, and you see this all in real time, and it is just, it's a lot. You can look up in the trees in the video, and you can see all the debris in the trees. So virtual reality it's new for us. We are really getting into it, and it really helps to bring across the devastation and help you connect with it, and help not only donors and volunteers, but my air team. So I have a team that is remote. They work completely remotely, helping us through every disaster, and they don't get to go on the ground and fill their cup like I do. But the Oculus, the virtual reality, they're able to see the devastation and feel that connection, and kind of feel that motivation and that passion that I feel when I'm on the ground, and it helps keep them going and not get burnt out.
Now, real quick, Alan Lasser, he had the question. So is that the same thing? Go to that Go Cajun Navy, .org, to volunteer.
Yeah, that's how you can volunteer. I think he's asking, like, how did I get involved with Cajun Navy?
How did you get involved? Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a good segue into Bigfoot. I actually got involved with Cajun Navy through a Bigfoot event. So
that's a good story.
I know. It's so random. It's definitely one of those calling, like, it was a calling thing. I get goosebumps when I talk about it. So I went to the Pacific Northwest over the summer with my two boys. We road tripped up to the Pacific Northwest for a Bigfoot conference. So I was one of the vendors at the conference. I was over in the celebrity personality side. And after that, we went to Beachfoot, which is another little event they have in Oregon. While I was at Beachfoot, I meet Rob Godet and his girlfriend Camille, and I was hanging out with them. I'm like, cool, we're all into Bigfoot. Well, he starts talking about Cajun Navy. I'm like, oh man, that's cool. And then I rode with them to the beach, and it was my first time seeing the Pacific Ocean. It was great. So I rode with him to the beach, and he's telling me about Cajun Navy, and I was like, just felt really compelled, and I was like, okay. I said, well, I would love to offer my time. I have a decade-long career in human resources. I said, I can help vet your volunteers maybe, or do something remotely. I'd love to volunteer a little bit. And he just looks at Camille and he's like, yeah. He's like, we really need human resources. And I'm like, okay, cool. And this is, Camille telling me that, this is how she hooked me. She said, imagine a hurricane. Okay, it's out in the Gulf. It's churning all this darkness and chaos and devastation, right? It hits land, it spreads all of that. She said, what we do with Cajun Navy is we go into those communities and bring light and hope back into those communities. And I get goosebumps every time I say it. Yeah. That's what hooked me. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to do this. So I come back, I meet the team, I'm getting my arms around everything. And then Hurricane Ida hits. And it's like trial by fire, right? Like, okay, here we go. And so I started vetting thousands and thousands of volunteers. Like, I got thrown on Fox News to do interviews for Cajun Navy. Like, it's all over the place. And I've been with them ever since. Like, that's Bigfoot got me into Cajun Navy.
that's yeah. I'm from Oregon, so I mean, like I said, when you're describing it, it's like I know exactly where you're at, because that's just what I was born and raised there.
Yeah. Oh my gosh,
it's a special thing. It really is. Like,
yeah.
Like,
I mean, I'm even wearing a Bigfoot shirt.
Me too.
Yeah, it's like.
I don't know if Craig told you, it's my last show till spring, because I'm going to Firefighter Academy. Actually, EMT first, then fire.
And then you're going to come volunteer with Cajun Navy Ground Force.
That's
what can't wait.
I'm in Florida, but I would love to go that way.
My dispatcher's out of Florida.
That works. I mean, I love the water, everything. But like, it's a special person. Like, I have a great job here. I have a safe job, but I've always wanted to do something more. My brother's a firefighter, and he goes like, dude, school is not going to teach you anything to what you're going to see in the real world. I'm like, I know.
Yeah.
I just want to do more. I want to help, and doing stuff like that,
That's
leaving
awesome.
Leaving my safe job, be a firefighter. It sounds stupid, but it's all I want to do. So.
Yeah. No, I get it. You know what? Congrats on that, first of all, because it's you're also going to be helping people in a whole different way. But on your off time, which you won't have any. Just I have a friend who's a firefighter, and I've been begging him for 6 months now. I was like, man, we need you, and he's just like, Lauren, I don't ever have time. And I'm like, fine I guess. Yeah, but for sure, like, we need nurses, like, especially right after a storm hits. So there's different phases, but right after a storm hits, we need first responders, EMTs, medical personnel. That's who we need right after the storm hits. And then of course we still need hands after that, but like, that's the ones we really need, like, first off, right off the bat, because those are crucial to what we do, because we send out our teams to go clear debris for the first responders, and there's a lot that can go wrong. And so having people like you, nurses, stuff like that, it can make all the difference.
Do you handle the security end of it too? Because I know I had a partner when the hurricanes hit, Katrina hit Louisiana, they deployed as a security team up there.
I mean, so that's something that's on my list of roles to implement, is to have a security team, but it's more for
your safe camp.
But honestly,
you don't have many issues, do you? Really? Like, people were like going to rob you in the middle of the night. For the most part.
During Ida, we did have
really?
We didn't have it happen to us, but there was pirating going on to where so after a disaster, there's a curfew for that reason, right? And so if you were on a road going into town afterwards, there were people that were being stopped and mugged for their supplies. So that actually would be very beneficial to have a full security team. That's what they did. They went out and you could contract with them. For me personally, for my team, we have the people that go out after storms. They're first responders, or they're ex-policemen, ex-military, and so they all usually carry, and that's the security that we have. But for Safe Camp, it definitely is on my list to employ 2 different security people at a time each night to watch over all of our equipment at Safe Camp.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, because we were actually talking about it. Just it's like he's like, and that would include for people to donate funding, because I mean obviously that's not going to be a cheap aspect to add in. But one of the things, before we get too much further away from this, how important has it been for you to have set the support from your partner through all this? And I mean, it's just because that's one of the things. If you don't have somebody in your camp like that home, that's your anchor and your rock, I mean, that's such a drag on you. So I mean, how huge has that been, having your husband right there to for you?
I'll tell you, having him hold down the fort with my kids, hold down the home front, that has been crucial. I couldn't do what I do without his support and him taking care of the kids in the house for me. I could not. So even before I went on the ground, like even just working from home, I was working 20-hour days. I stayed in this office in that chair. I barely got up to eat, drink, or pee. Like I did not leave my office. And so he, had to hold it down, keep the kids out of there, go bathe the kids, feed the kids, all of that. And then when I go on the ground, I'm gone once a month for a couple days at a time. And he has to hold it down. And so I'm very blessed in that I found another kind person. Because he's one of those people, if he sees someone pulled over on the side of the road, he's going to stop. If he sees somebody hitchhiking, he's going to stop. I tell him not to, but he still does.
But
he's one of those people.
Yeah.
So he's going to be on my murder podcast one day. He actually is.
Yeah,
but,
that's like commercial. He's got a chainsaw, but he has Bud Light.
But I mean, yeah,
we gotta stop.
So he's another kind heart. So he gets that I go to fill my cup, and he wishes that he could go too. Most of the time he's like, I just wish I could go help too. But he understands that him holding it down here helps me to be able to do that. And so he's not resentful of it or anything like that. Around Christmas it was really hard, but I mean, we made it work. And I'm pretty blessed in that I've seen one person in particular, they lost their marriage because of this, because the person just couldn't hack this person going out into the field so much, and they were worried all the time. And it does take time away from your family, from everything you have. It's taken time away from my podcast, my other business dealings, but I mean, and like my co-host Matt Knapp on Planet Fear, actually, he was like, all right, we're stopping Planet Fear for a while. And I was crying. I was like, what do you mean? Why are we stopping Planet Fear? I was so upset. And he's like, Lauren, we talk about assholes killing each other, murder, mystery, paranormal, all of that. He's like, what does that even like compare to what you're doing? He's like, you have to let go of something. I know you're not going to do it, so I'm making us let go of this right now. Like, that's a good friend, guys. That's a good friend, I have to say. Mm-hmm. But you can support him by going to bigfootcrossroads.com and watching his podcast in the meantime.
Awesome. So that's good. Yeah, because I was going to bring up that Planet Fear 2 is just, and then you've got Night Callers Productions, the weird realities that you're doing with Hadley. I mean, like I said, that's a lot to juggle.
It's a lot. So I mean, Hadley. Oh my God, Hadley. That's my fairy goth mother. She is someone who came into my life and changed my life for the better. She's like the sister I never knew I had, aunt, mother. I don't know. Like she's an amazing person. So I've done Night Callers Bigfoot Radio for over 10 years. I've been researching Bigfoot for over 20 years. My mom actually brought me into the Bigfoot world when she had her sighting, and I was young, like I was freshly a teenager. And so normal kids grow up going and during the summer they go to the beach, they go to Disneyland. I've never been to Disneyland, Disney World, none of that. I've been out in the woods on Bigfoot expeditions more times than I could count. I have been to Bigfoot conferences and seminars and festivals. That's how I grew up. I grew up weird. I'm okay with it now. But I grew up going out into the woods with other people who are looking for this mythical creature. Like that's what I did growing up. And
Mm-hmm.
so when I got older, my mom launched Night Callers Bigfoot Radio. We were one of the very first Bigfoot podcasts. We've interviewed, I took it over a few years ago, so it's mine now. And we've interviewed over 300 people about Bigfoot research. And this past year, I started Night Callers Productions at Hadley's urging. And under Night Callers Productions, we formulated Weird Realities. And so Weird Realities under that spawned into Hadley's Enterprise. And so she has, you guys go check out Weird Realities. I can't even tell you all the amazing things they do. I am just the producer and the CEO kind of over all of that, but all of that is Hadley's work. I give full credit to her. I gave her my name and my audience and said, you go forth and conquer. And boy, did she. Like, she's amazing.
Yeah.
And then Planet Fear, I partnered with Matt Knapp of Bigfoot Crossroads, and also Bigfoot Outlaw Radio. That was his other show that he did. And we formulated Planet Fear Podcast. Planet Fear Podcast is a paranormal and true crime podcast. We talk about ghosts. We talk about murder. It's my happy place. Like, I love it to death. We're on hiatus right now, but I am working on him every day to come back as soon as I have time. So
yeah, I mean, if you ever get a chance, it's, I got his book right over here. Let's see, hopefully I can find it, but it's one guy. If you haven't interviewed him, you really need to. Richard Estep.
Oh, I don't know him. Yes,
like his book alone, just the entire thing is just nothing but different pieces on serial killers. So I mean,
can you hold that up again? Is that?
Yeah.
That's not the big book of serial killers. Oh, that's a different one. Okay, yeah, you're gonna have to send that to me because I don't have that one yet.
Yeah. So he's delved into like the Fox Hollow Farm.
Mm-hmm.
He has a book just solely on that one.
Oh my gosh.
And so he did a book on Wayne Gacy. He is a really amazing one to pick the brain on, especially when it comes to like serial killers.
I would love to have him on. If he would like deign to come on our show, I would be so happy about that. True crime is my happy place. When I need to chill, I listen to murder. It makes me happy. I think I'm a typical woman in that. But yeah, we do a lot on that show. We do, like I said, paranormal. We do our true crime. We've covered the Girl Scout murders out of Oklahoma. We've covered Night Stalker, just the Ripper Crew. The Ripper Crew was pretty gruesome. That was nasty. Like, you guys, that was a gross one, but it was really good. It was really good.
Yeah.
And
there's ones, I mean, it's been so overdone, but for me, it's always kind of the go-to for myself, the Black Dahlia.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's the one we haven't done. We touched on it with the Cecil Hotel. But we haven't gotten into that one yet, but yeah, that's definitely a favorite because it's still not solved. And to me, that's delicious. I can't get enough of that.
It's such a mystery how you could have such, so much, just right there. It's like, and yet there's so much to see, but yet nobody has anything.
There's no resolution to it. It's very frustrating. There's a lot that we cover that are like that as well. But yeah, so Planet Fear is kind of my guilty little pleasure. I love that show. Like I said, we do paranormal. So actually I give my own counts of paranormal stuff. And so does Matt on that show. We talked about different syndromes on the show. So like being buried alive, with that, like different cases of that happening, and then locked in syndrome, which is where you could be laying on an autopsy table and not be able to move. And we had a friend of ours who's an embalmer, Logan, he's an embalmer. He came on to give his thoughts on it, like what that would feel like and stuff. So, I mean, we get kind of gruesome on there, but I mean, I'm here for it. So.
Yeah, that's one of those things. It's just like, man, you definitely need a time to decompress. I mean, it's one of those. Yeah, you
Yeah.
got yourself, pretty much nonstop, onslaught of,
Pretty much. My
trauma.
decompression, for me, decompressing is hiking, but mostly decompressing is going camping in the woods and looking for Bigfoot. That would be how I decompress. Nature is my happy place. It's where I go unplug. And if I happen to find Bigfoot while I'm out there, then I mean, it's a win-win. Yeah. So but it's Brooke. I would consider doing an episode on Mothman. I would actually love to have like an actual Mothman guest on that, like, really dig into it. So if you have any suggestions for who I could have on to talk about that, I would be open to that completely. Brooke Brooke also works with me at Cajun Navy. That is our social media team lead. She runs our social media. She's the voice behind the live videos. She's amazing at that. She's also one of my best friends. But it's funny because I didn't know anything about her. And then she chimed in on one of my live videos on Night Callers and was talking about Bigfoot and all of this stuff. And I'm like, I didn't know you were into any of this. And she actually knows more about some cryptids than I do. And it's impressive. I'm here for it. It's cool. Like,
well, let's go. I know Joey and Tanya Medea, her friends of the show, they're really big on Mothman.
Okay.
As well. Yeah, Joey is even making a Mothman escape room.
What?
Yeah.
What? Where is that? How do
it's going to be in, I believe, Point Pleasant, West Virginia.
Brooke, we're going on a road trip. Bobby, get the spaceship ready. We're leaving.
So it's going to be a Mothman escape room. It's like he's working on it. So that would be definitely one. So like you said, if you want to have somebody on as kind of to help, I would look for him too. I mean, even Tanya, she sent that to Mothman shaped. So
I love it. I love it.
So
you guys definitely. I'll reach out. So I'm all about expanding into other cryptids. I've been doing the Bigfoot thing for like 20 years. It's not that it's boring or anything. It's just that I don't know anything about the other cryptids, and I believe in being a lifelong learner. I want to know everything I can about everything I can. And so I'm always expanding into other cryptids. I expanded into Snallygaster recently, which always makes me laugh because it's just a funny name. But that's out of Massachusetts or Maryland, I believe, Maryland. And it's the Snallygaster cryptid. It's like a chimera. And it's like a bird dragon snake thing. And it's really funky looking, but it's pretty cool. And I would have to say my favorite cryptid is a thunderbird, because I mean those are so cool. But yeah, like I'm branching out into different cryptids. Chris's face right now.
Yeah, mine's got to be the Pukwudgie.
Oh yeah. Have you seen the squonk though?
No.
Oh my god. Look up the squonk and put it on the screen. Like, he's the saddest cryptid, you guys. He's so ugly, it's sad. Him's sad.
Didn't somebody we have on bring that up before?
I don't know if we brought up the squonk.
Squonk.
Oh no, I see. Oh my god. Yeah, let's see. Let's see. All right, we're gonna. I'm not sure which one's more pathetic.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Literally, this cryptid is known for walking around crying because he's so ugly.
That's rude.
I can relate most of the time, honestly, though.
Yeah, let's see. I'm just trying to get it to where it's not just some real tiny image for everybody to look at here. All right, here we go. This is somebody's rendition of the squonk.
What the hell is that? It looks like a pig with a Voldemort pig with boils. Like, that's what it looks like.
He's so sad. He's so ugly. Him's sad.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
Oh my god.
It's so sad. Him's the ugliest cryptid there is, and that's saying a lot because the Kentucky Goblin's pretty ugly. Pukwudgies.
I think it's also known as the Weeper Reaper.
Oh, that sounds scary. I don't like that.
Yeah, it's another name for it, but yeah,
it's not nearly as fascinating as squonk.
Yeah, I like squonk because, like I said, This is the next image that I found.
He's like a goblin Eeyore to me. He's so sad.
Yep.
He stalks cis men and feeds off their tears. That's a new one. This is a new meme.
Yeah, that's why it's
obscenely cute with the odor of 98-year-old molars. I regret asking you to put this up here right now. Like, I regret everything.
If you ask Craig, he'll find it. I don't care. He'll go to the long depths.
Did not know this before coming on the show. It's okay.
Yeah, I said I think that's somebody's extreme take on it. But yeah, you get some of those ones like, we can get you. Oh, here we go. This one will renew your faith in the squonk here. You don't have to. Somebody's dark take on it. Here's the.
Yes, that's the one I'm used to seeing.
Yeah,
Tim's pitiful.
Oh God, what's that movie? What's that show?
It's
it looks cartoon. That one. It's a cartoon. Yeah, it reminds me of that cartoon. Adventure Time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the yellow dog. That's what it looks like.
Yep. That's
sad.
Yeah. So that's the squonk. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we got the Mothman. And that was one of the things too. Like when I talked to Hadley and I was going to get with you, it's just, you've coming up. I mean, pretty much, you know your stuff, because you've done it for so long. Have you ever encountered where some groups, like when you walk in and you're kind of dismissed, like, because you don't have the beard, you're not wearing you're not wearing all the camo gear, the hats and stuff like, yeah, and you're coming in and you're like, yeah, do you get that kind of almost where it's just like, well, okay, I get you're a fan, but we're talking about people that actually go out in the woods and research.
So I can tell you, I don't really get that because, this sounds egotistical, because most of the people I hang with know who I am. I'll put it that way. Because of night callers, people know that I know what I'm talking about. I can tell you from a female perspective, am I discounted sometimes? Yes. Are other females discounted way more? Yes. I was raised by a veteran female researcher. So I have her clout, and then I have built my own clout, and I have worked my little white girl ass off to get the respect from my male peers that I deserve. But others still battle that. So I'm actually writing a book, and it's called A Girl's Guide to Bigfooting with the Boys. And what that is me inspiring other women to go get out in the field and telling them little tips and tricks, but also it's interviewing other strong women who have made this field what it is today. So if you go research top 10 cryptozoologists in North America, none of them are girls.
Wow.
Yep.
Do you know how many I can count on one hand that should be in there? So, they're not.
Yeah.
So I put them in my book, which is not going to be anything, but still, so women are discounted. I will tell you that in a lot of circles, and especially Facebook groups, people have a bad habit of newcomers coming in and not being treated in a welcoming manner. It is really rough. I try not to do that, but sometimes I do. I find myself like, someone walks up with a very widely circulated picture that they're like, oh, look, do you think this is Bigfoot? And I'm like, oh my God, like it's a bird. It's been circulated for 10 years. It's a bird. I find myself doing that as well, but I work really hard to, like, if you listen to Night Callers, my tagline is, stay safe, be kind. I'll see you next time. And I mean that. Be kind in all we do. Even if you know this person is sharing blob squatch, even if you know that it is actually a bird in the picture or something, even if you really want to tell the person that the red circles in their picture aren't circling anything, just be kind in the way you do it, because like, to me, these people have guts enough to come forward and ask for your assistance with an experience or whatever has happened to them. Like, we're the front line of believing them. And if you're hateful to them, like, we're going to lose so many witnesses and experiencers because of that. And that just breaks my heart, because it's like, people are like, oh, well, nobody believes in Bigfoot. Bigfoot's not a thing. And I'm like, we have a ton of witnesses out there. They are too scared to come forward. Like, finding Bigfoot helped open the door a little bit, because the subject became a little bit less taboo. But there are still thousands upon thousands out there who have had experiences and will not come forward, because they'll either be ridiculed by people they know who don't believe, or then they're ridiculed by the people that do believe. Like, it's so, I try to tell my people, be kind. Like, I literally reiterate that all the time. I know they're so sick of hearing it, but I'm like, you guys, we're the front line for these people, for believers, and we're being hateful to them. Like, come on. So
Yeah.
But you gotta,
yeah.
But that's extremely hard to continue to be nice to people that be like, well, I got a Bigfoot family that lives in my backyard, but they'll only talk to me. So, like, what do they eat? Oh, I can't tell you that. So how do you be
So
nice to
much.
people?
It's so hard. It's so hard.
Yep.
I will tell you, I took the coward's way out on my Facebook page. I have a team of moderators to handle that for me, because that's not very kind, but I hit my limit, because I'm just like, because my team of moderators, they live my values. They're kind. And so they go in and they're like, okay, because people immediately jump on those people, right? And I'm like, all right. So my number one rule in my Facebook group is be kind or kindly shut up. Like, literally, your mama always said, if you ain't got nothing nice to say, don't say it. And so in my Facebook group, that's how that works. But it is hard. I actually had a guy come up to me recently at an event at the Hanobi Bigfoot Festival. Now, I've met this man a few times. I love this guy. He's a hiker. He's so nice. He's an older guy. And he came up to me, and I could tell he was nervous, and he wanted to share a photo with me, and he was telling me about the photo and like the background, and he said, okay, here you go. And he shows me, and I was like, okay. And he said, you see the the biceps and the glutes here and all of this. And I'm like, I see how you could see that and think that's what that is. I said, but I'm going to tell you what I see is an eye and a beak. I said, that's a bird that flew into the camera. And he's just like, no, but you see that this is an arm and this, and I'm like, so I'm going to let you know that I've looked at a lot of these, and perception, if it was that close to the camera, it could not be the arm because it's too close. So it's the eye and the beak. That's a bird's face. And he was just devastated. Like, he was like, okay, I got to go set up my table. And he just like goes away. And I was like, oh my God. But like, I respected him. I did. I hurt his feelings. I respected him enough to, hi Hadley. Oh, sorry. I'm so excited.
Yep.
My fairy goth mother. So I respected him enough to tell him the truth, though. But others, like I said, be kind. When they come up and they're like, oh, I got this picture, and it's just a big red circle. And I'm like, that's interesting. That's very interesting. And that's my go-to. And I say it with a smile on my face. But if I respect you, I don't want you peddling that around. I'll tell you, that's a bird, my man. I'm so sorry. Later on, he sought me out and he was like, hey, and started talking about something else. And I was like, okay, cool. He doesn't hate me. That's great.
Yeah. Well, that's the key. It's like, it's not about demeaning somebody. And it's one of those, I've said it, how many shows? I mean, just when somebody comes up and says, I've seen this thing out in my wood, okay, you believe them. You take them at face value. Right. And it's just like what Chris, Austin said, after a certain amount of time, if I keep telling you I see it every day, I've got thousands of photographs every day. Eventually, just in me, in my logical thing, I'm like, you have got, as a researcher, this is one of those, and that's where it was cool that we got to this point, because that was one of the questions I had for you. How do you differentiate from those people to get that? Because if anything wants to be considered mainstream, legitimate, there has to be criteria to, on what is acceptable and what's not. I mean, that's how it is whether it's biology, geology. I mean, you go down anything, there's a standard. And if we just take every, like you say, every blob squatch, every blurry pixelated image as face value, that this is in fact a thing, somebody will say, like Austin's, a complete skeptic, he doesn't believe it. If all three of us just say, no matter what you show us, oh yeah, that's definitely Bigfoot, he's going to look at the three of us like we're complete idiots.
Yeah.
We're never going to convince him that this is thing. And then, but if we actually take the time, like you said, God, man, I'm sorry, that's a bird.
Mm-hmm.
I know you think it's a squatch, that's a bird. I mean, and to me, that's so critical to do that part. Not demeaning, like, God, man, you're an idiot. Get out of here. Show me the stupid bird pictures. It's just when you tell them this is, you break it down. He's like, it's not to show your it's like you made a mistake, but it's not. Right. You're not a fool for doing it. I appreciate you doing it, because one of these times you're going to grab one. You're going to think, well, it's probably a bird. No, you did actually catch an arm. That is an arm right there.
Yeah, yeah. So it's to me, it's about educating them, of course. There's so many that on Facebook that will jump on a new person for even asking questions, and it's really hard. I've been trying to get across to my people, if you could educate them. Some people don't want to hear it. Some people know I circled this with red. It is a Bigfoot. Oh, okay, my man. All right, that's cool. Like, whatever. There's those people, but if you can try to educate them, so that's where it falls on Bigfoot researchers, legitimate Bigfoot researchers. So like I said, I've interviewed over 300 Bigfoot researchers through Nightcallers Bigfoot Radio. That's between the United States, British Columbia, England, Ireland, Australia. Like, I have interviewed people across the world about Bigfoot researchers. These are people who do the research. That's when it's on the researchers to ask the appropriate questions. So you say, I saw a Bigfoot. I'm like, cool. Where? What were the conditions? What were the weather conditions? You were driving. Okay, cool. How fast were you going? What's the population like there? Are there deer? Are there bear? Are there wolves? Like, what is there? What was the weather conditions like? What was the lighting like? And that's when the Bigfoot researcher, it's really on them to ask those questions. I mean, I always want to know the background of a sighting. I want to know what time of year was it? And this will help me in my research also, and so this will help me in my research as well. So of course I want to know, like, if you did legitimately have a sighting, I want to know, was the moon full? Was it waning? Like, what was the moon like? What was the weather like? What time of year was it? Were you in your campground? Were you alone? Were there a bunch of people? Were you in a hunting camp and there was a pile of guts behind you? Like, this is stuff I want to know. Were you near water because they follow the creeks, right? Or were you on the side of a mountain? So this is where you can ask questions. And so if they say, I was in a hunting camp and my buddy went pee and I saw a shadow over here, then you can easily be like, okay, well, maybe that was your buddy, or something like that. Or, there's a lot of things you can use to discount the stories and maybe guide them towards realizing that maybe there was another reason for what they saw. A lot of people, they bring in audio. Oh my God, listen to this. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, that's an owl. And they're like, well, it sounds like monkeys. I'm like, I too, my first time I heard barred owls was under the impression a pack of monkeys was screaming at me from the woods. I almost wet my pants. True story. But did I find out later that it was owls? Yes. Did I add that to my resume of, hey, this is what this owl sounds like? Also, yes. So my mom, because she's been doing this for so long, she has 20 years of audio, right? So she actually began a YouTube channel. She's going to kill me. Oh, she's going to kill me. I forgot what the channel's called. I promise she's going to disown me. I think it's Night Squatch Audio, I believe. And so she is uploading her audio over 20 years. She's using this as educational, right? So she's uploading, like, her first couple submissions are like of hogs. And she's like, so this is what hogs sound like. This is what this owl sounds like. She said, I thought all of these were Bigfoot when I first started. And you have to learn, like, that's something that we don't do enough of in the Bigfoot world is teach. We don't teach people coming in that this sound is a fox, this sound, like, that's stuff we've all learned over the past 20 years, but people coming in don't know this. And so we have to teach them through our mistakes. And so that's what she's doing. She's teaching them through all of her mistakes. Like, the owl, I'm not kidding. I was standing on a bank fishing. Everybody had gone back to the car. I'm standing there alone. Out of the brush behind me, there's this screaming from multiple animals. And I'm like, Squatchy Nights audio. Thank you, Hadley. She's going to replace me with you, but that's okay. At least you'll be in the family. It's fine. So this that's screaming awesome. Comes out of the woods, and I am convinced there are a bunch of monkeys in there that are about to eat me. Like, I'm like, man, it's Planet of the Apes over here. I run back to the car, or actually I fast walked because I was trying to hold my bladder at that point. I get back to the car and I told my husband about it, and he's like, those were owls. And I'm like, no, like that was monkeys, or like a freaking like kookaburra, chupacabra. I don't know. There was something in there about to eat me. And he's like, how have you been in the woods? That was an owl. And then he pulled it up on YouTube. That was an owl. I'm like, ain't no wonder I haven't found Bigfoot yet. I mean, my goodness. Hadley.
No, but that's the thing. It's for people that don't know. It's like you go out there. It's like, everybody's. I mean, Austin's goes out in the woods hunting. Chris has been out there. It's like from Oregon. You always go out. I've gone out hunting many times. It's like during the day and nighttime, you can be in the same thing. It is a completely different experience when it goes dark. You hear stuff that, I mean, when normally, like when you're walking around, you're like, I'm like, stupid squirrel, and when that happens, you're like, oh God, werewolf's right behind me. It's getting ready to tear me apart. It's like every sound is completely different. I mean, it sounds like you got a T-Rex walking on the other side of the trees.
It's the truth. It's the truth, especially the way we do it. So like normal people, they have their little headlamps and their flashlights, and they go out into the woods and they're like looking around for my group, especially me, I walk off by myself. I refuse to turn my light on at any point. No wonder I haven't seen Bigfoot, but whatever. I walk off by myself and I set myself up as bait, and I listen. I let everybody else call. I let everybody else do, their wood knocks or whatever. And then I sit there and I wait to hear what I'm going to hear or see what I'm going to see. And then I don't turn on my light. And so those noises, they come across as in a big way whenever you have no light source.
Yeah. No, we need to do, at some point we need to have a part 2, because like I said, it's like we are out of time. We gotta. But wanted to thank you for coming on again.
No problem.
I'm glad you were able to reschedule, because I said it's like I did not want you to stress about that at all. I'm like, you were helping the people.
I appreciate your grace.
Kentucky. Yeah, that was. Yeah. I was more than happy, because I was like, no, trust me, that was way more important than coming on here to talking about Bigfoot. So it's like, but yeah, everybody, you can Facebook, you can go, Cajun Navy Ground Force. You can also go to, go CajunNavy.org /donate. I think it's /, right? Yeah, or /. It's donate. And then just go there, help support them. Check them out. You can also support Lauren through, we have Planet Fear podcast, Weird Realities podcast, Night Callers Productions, and it's, I said they're all same time. Just like I said, go support them. And I said, I appreciate you coming on.
Yes, I appreciate you guys having me on. Seriously, it's been a blast. You guys are awesome.
Thank you very much.
I definitely appreciate it, and thank you to your amazing chat over there for asking great questions and being so supportive. I appreciate all of you.
Well, thanks again. Like I said, we look forward to next time.
Yeah, absolutely. Whenever y'all are ready.
All right. Well, take care, and like I say, stay safe out there. And thanks again for everything that you've done.
I sure will. Thank you.
All right. Guys, this episode was brought to you by threebeardspodcast.com. Check us out there. Like I said, once again, make sure you do go to CajunNavy.org and support them. This beard is under control thanks to a wonderful gift from our friends at Into the Outer Realms. She actually made me up my own blend of oil, and she even surprised me and put her logo on it.
He's special. My beard still needs care.
So,
but
and this, that was Tanya, and I showed her, she, from their thing, she made Mothman soap, and so they had sent that as a kind of a little gift to us. And so I tried this, and I'm like, this stuff's actually, it has a really good smell to it. Coconut oil, lemon oil, tea tree, peppermint, orange, bitter. So it has a really, really nice smell. And so,
notice how he said to us, so he's gonna use a little bit, bring us a little.
Well, I'm gonna come over there, and you guys can hold out your hands.
With the soap.
Yeah, you can hold out your hands, and I can drip. I could.
That's all I need. All I need is a little dip.
Yeah.
Once you bathe with the soap, give it to me, and I'll give it to Austin.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God!
Here you go.
Oh, I almost had a coughing fit there.
It's all I need is right here. Just...
a couple of drops, and just one on each finger for Austin. He's just going to do this for his porn stash when he has it. He'll just keep massaging it. Anyway, yeah. So go to all the social medias there, redbubble.com /3 Beards Podcast, or go to 3beardspodcast.com and check out our gear shop there, and then support us that way. We are rebroadcast every Wednesday starting at 11-ish on ERRT Radio, courtesy of Ron. Thank you so much for that. I wanted to shout out again to Hadley Thorne, and Weird Realities for helping put this together. If she hadn't suggested this, this wouldn't have happened. So really appreciate that. And so everybody, subscribe, follow us on social medias. Appreciate it. Everybody, stay tuned. We got another one coming up here, but good night.